The desert planet of Row 9 was quiet that afternoon. The twin suns burned in the sky, turning the ground into red fire. The wind carried dust and heat, whistling through the stone canyons like a ghostly song. No animals moved. No sound of life could be heard. It was a dead world, or so Captain Alex Carter thought. His small human shuttle, the Falcon 2, landed on a flat patch of glowing sand. He had come here after detecting a strange distress signal, a signal so weak it almost didn't exist. But Alex had been a soldier once, and soldiers didn't ignore cries for help, no matter where they came from. He stepped out of the ship, the heat slamming into his suit like a hammer. His boots sank into the sand. The air shimmered like boiling water. His scanner beeped. The signal was close, maybe half a mile east. Alex started walking. The desert stretched forever. His oxygen gauge blinked yellow. He had maybe 2 hours before it ran low. He thought of turning back, but something, a voice deep inside him, told him not to. As he climbed a small ridge, he heard it. A sound carried by the hot wind, soft, broken, and full of pain. A child's voice. "Please, someone, help!" Alex froze. He looked around, but the desert was empty. Then he heard it again, clearer this time. A sob and then a cry. "Please help my mommy." His heart pounded. He ran toward the sound. The ground burned under his boots, but he didn't stop. The sound grew louder as he passed through narrow rock paths and small cliffs. Then suddenly he saw it. Below the ridge, in a dry valley, stood a large black stone, smooth like glass and shining under the suns. And tied to that stone was a woman, not human but alien. Her skin was a soft blue, almost glowing, and strange golden ropes of light wrapped around her arms and legs. She was still, barely breathing. Beside her, a small alien child knelt in the dust, crying. The child's big silver eyes were full of tears. "Please help her," the child cried again when he saw Alex. "Please, she will die when the suns reach the top." Alex climbed down quickly. He could feel the heat coming from the glowing ropes even from a few steps away. It wasn't just light, it was energy, alive and burning. He knelt beside the child. "It's okay," he said gently. "I'm here to help." "What happened?" The child shook his head. "They tied her here. They said it's the way of our people, that she must pay for saving a human." Alex blinked in shock. "For saving a human?" The child nodded. "Yes, she saved one of your kind last moon cycle, and now they say she broke the sacred law. They said she must stay tied until the sun set or burn away." The child's voice cracked. Alex looked at the alien woman. The golden ropes pulsed, brightening with each beat as if the suns fed them. Her face was peaceful but pale. Sweat, or maybe something like it, rolled down her temples. He touched the rope lightly and pain shot through his glove. He pulled back fast. It was like touching a live wire. His mind raced. He checked his toolkit, pulling out his plasma cutter. He aimed it at the rope and fired a thin beam, but the energy bounced off, sparking wildly. The rope flickered and tightened, and the woman groaned weakly. Alex stopped instantly. No, it's reacting. It's alive somehow." The child grabbed his hand. "Please don't hurt her. Please save her." He took a deep breath. His heart was pounding now, not from heat but from fear. Whoever did this and whoever tied this woman here and had used powerful technology, far beyond human science. And they meant for her to suffer slowly. He looked around, scanning the horizon. The heat made everything blur, but he felt something, like eyes watching him from far away. The back of his neck tingled. "Who are you?" he asked softly. "My name is Real," said the child. "And that's my mommy, Laura. Please, Mr. Human, help her before the suns burn her skin." Alex's jaw tightened. He looked up at the sky. The suns were climbing fast. He didn't have much time. He could see the light changing. Soon the full blaze would hit the rock. The heat would become unbearable. He crouched beside Laura again. Her breathing was shallow, her lips dry. He could hear a faint whisper from her. "Real, go." "No, Mommy." The child sobbed. Alex felt something stir deep in his chest. A memory. A small girl on Earth, his own daughter, waving goodbye before he left for his last mission. He remembered her voice. "Promise me, Daddy. Promise you'll help everyone who needs you." He had promised. He looked at Real and nodded. "I'm not leaving. I'll find a way." But as he stood, his scanner beeped again. Not from the rope, but from the rocks around them. The reading showed movement. Something, or someone, was coming. Alex turned slowly toward the ridge. Through the shimmering heat, dark figures began to appear, tall, armored shapes with glowing weapons in their hands. The child gasped, clutching his sleeve. "They've come back." Alex's hand went to his weapon belt. The heat, the silence, the heartbeat in his ears, everything froze in that one moment. He looked at the woman tied to the rock, the crying child beside her and the shadowed figures approaching, and he knew this was only the beginning. The air around Captain Alex Carter shimmered like a liquid mirror. The desert heat pressed down on him, wrapping him in an invisible fire. The twin suns had climbed higher, and every breath he took tasted like dust and metal. He stood between the alien woman tied to the black stone and the child who clung to his arm. His scanner kept flashing red warnings, temperature critical, oxygen low, but he ignored it. The only thing that mattered now was freeing the woman before she burned alive. But he wasn't alone anymore. Dark figures moved through the haze, walking down from the ridge above. There were 6 of them, tall, broad, and covered in armor that glowed with lines of blue fire. Their eyes, hidden behind curved helmets, shone with cold light. Each one carried a long spear that hummed with power. The leader stepped forward. His armor gleamed gold at the edges, and his voice came out deep and heavy. "Human," he said in a strange accent. "You stand on sacred ground. Leave now or die here." Alex tightened his grip on his plasma cutter but didn't raise it. "This woman is dying." "I can't walk away." The leader tilted his head slightly. "She chose this fate. It is our law. She's tied up in the burning sun," Alex shouted. "That's not law, that's torture." The aliens murmured among themselves, their deep voices like thunder rolling over the sand. The child Rill stepped out from behind Alex, trembling. "Please," he cried, "she didn't do wrong." "She only helped someone."
"She helped a man like him."
The leader looked down at the small alien, and for a moment his posture softened, then hardened again. "She broke the covenant," he said. "She interfered with the humans of war. The punishment is binding under the suns until the flesh turns to dust. That is the trial of light." Alex's blood boiled. "Trial of light? You mean slow death?" "Silence," the leader barked. "You do not speak our words." He raised his hand, and the others pointed their glowing spears toward Alex. The tips crackled with electricity. Alex slowly stepped in front of Rill, shielding him. His heart pounded. He knew he couldn't fight 6 armed aliens and win. His mind raced for a plan. He crouched a little and whispered to the boy, "Stay behind me. No matter what happens." Rill's small voice trembled. "You'll help her, right?" Alex nodded. "I'll help her. I promise." The leader moved closer, the sand crunching beneath his boots. "You think yourself brave, human? You think your mercy changes the stars?" He pointed his spear at Alex's chest. "Your kind brings ruin wherever it walks. You do not belong here." Alex's anger flared. "Maybe," he said, "but I still know what's right." In one quick motion, he raised his plasma cutter and fired a short beam, not at the aliens, but at the glowing anchor stone where the ropes connected. The air exploded with a flash of light. The plasma hit the golden rope, and for a second it flickered. The aliens shouted in alarm. The leader swung his spear, striking the cutter from Alex's hand. It flew across the sand and landed far away. The rope glowed brighter now, as if angry. Sparks danced around it. The woman groaned in pain, the heat rising from her body in waves. Alex's chest burned as he stared at her. Her skin was glowing too bright, her breath coming slower. If he didn't act soon, she'd be gone. The aliens surrounded him again. "You've sealed your fate," the leader growled. Alex's breathing quickened. He looked at the ropes again, studying them carefully. His eyes followed the energy lines, and from the rock through the sand to a series of glowing symbols carved in a circle around the stone. A thought hit him. The energy isn't from the suns. It's drawn from these markings. He dropped to his knees, brushing the sand away. Strange letters glowed beneath. The aliens shouted and moved closer, but Alex slammed his hand on his communicator. A sharp beeping sound came from his ship in the distance. "Computer," he gasped into the mic. "Activate pulse scan, target my location." Before the aliens could stop him, a blinding blue wave burst out from the sky. The Falcon 2's pulse beam hit the ground like lightning. The sand lifted in a ring, scattering energy across the valley. The ropes crackled and flickered again, weaker this time. One of them snapped with a loud crack, falling away in a burst of sparks. The woman gasped. Her arm was free. Rill screamed with joy, but it lasted only a second. The leader roared in anger and swung his spear. Alex barely ducked as the weapon cut through the air, burning a line across his shoulder. Pain shot through him, but he stood his ground. He reached for his belt and pulled out a small silver disc and a flash grenade. "You wanted light?" he said through gritted teeth. "Here it is." He threw it down. The world exploded in white. The alien staggered back, blinded. Alex ran to the stone, grabbed the fallen spear and jabbed it into the second anchor point. Energy clashed with energy, blue against gold, and then with a sound like thunder the second rope snapped. But the blast threw Alex back into the sand. His vision blurred. His ears rang. He tasted blood. The woman was now half free, her chest rising and falling. The light around her dimmed slightly. Alex tried to stand, but the heat pressed harder now, heavier than before. The suns had reached their peak. Shadows disappeared. The air turned white with brightness. He looked up and saw the leader recover his stance, spear raised again, fury burning in his glowing eyes. "You will die for this," the alien said. Alex coughed and smiled weakly. "Maybe," he whispered, "but not before she lives." And as the burning suns reached their highest point, the trial truly began. The desert blazed white under the twin suns. The air shimmered so hot that even the shadows seemed to melt away. Captain Alex Carter lay in the sand, dizzy and gasping. His vision blurred from the glare, and every breath burned his throat. He could still hear the faint hum of energy from the glowing ropes, one broken, one still holding the alien woman, Lura, to the black stone. Beside him, the small alien boy Riel knelt beside his mother, crying softly. "Mommy, please wake up." His voice was weak, trembling with fear. Alex forced himself up, pain flaring through his shoulder where the alien spear had burned him. He squinted toward the ridge. The armored aliens were regrouping, their glowing armor pulsing with blue light like angry hearts. The leader, his gold-edged armor now scorched from the blast, raised his weapon. "Human," he shouted, his voice echoing across the canyon. "You dare break sacred law twice. You will not leave this desert alive." Alex wiped the sweat and dust from his face. "Yeah," he muttered under his breath. "That's what everyone says." He turned to Riel. "Stay close to her. Don't move until I say." The child nodded, his eyes wide. Alex picked up the fallen alien spear, heavier than it looked, humming with strange energy. The weapon vibrated in his hand as if alive. He took a slow breath. He had fought many battles in his life, but never against enemies like these. Warriors who believed in fire and punishment instead of mercy. The aliens spread out in a circle, their spears crackling. The sand sizzled under their boots. The leader took a step forward, his voice cold. "We are the Solar Guardians," he said. "Keepers of the light trial. No being may interfere once judgment has begun." Alex's jaw tightened. "Judgment?" he snapped. "You call burning a mother alive judgment?" "She broke the covenant," the leader replied. "She saved a human. The light must cleanse her of the sin." Alex stared at him, disbelief and anger twisting in his chest. "You punish kindness? That's your justice?" "Mercy weakens the strong," said another guardian, stepping forward. "Only those who obey survive." Alex shook his head. "Then maybe you've forgotten what survival really means." The guardians moved in closer, their armor flashing like lightning under the suns. Alex could feel the heat building. The planet itself seemed to breathe fire. He had to think fast. Fighting all six would be suicide. He scanned the ground quickly. The energy lines still glowed faintly under the sand, the same ones that powered the ropes. Maybe he couldn't break them by force, but he could overload them. He remembered the alien spear's hum. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a power conductor. If he drove it into the wrong place, maybe he could cause a chain reaction strong enough to burn out the entire system. The leader raised his spear. "End this, human." Alex smiled faintly. Gladly, he leapt forward. The aliens struck at once, their spears flashing blue. Alex rolled to the side, the sand exploding where he had just been. He swung the heavy spear, hitting one guardian's weapon aside. Sparks flew. The alien stumbled back, surprised at the human's strength. Another swung from behind, but Alex ducked low, using the spear like a staff. He swept the alien's legs, sending him crashing into the dust. The heat, the light, the sound, everything blurred into one, but he wasn't trying to win. He was trying to reach the energy circle. He broke through the line, running toward the glowing symbols carved in the sand. The leader roared in fury and threw his spear. It sliced through the air and hit Alex's leg. He fell hard, the pain sharp and deep. The spear hummed beside him, buried in the ground. Gritting his teeth, Alex grabbed the shaft. His vision swam from the pain, but he forced the spear downward, deep into the glowing markings. The sand exploded in a burst of light. A shockwave rippled out in all directions. The alien staggered. The golden ropes on the stone flared wildly, then dimmed, flickering like dying fire. The second rope began to weaken. "Stop him!" the leader shouted, but it was too late. The rope burst apart, scattering sparks into the wind. Lura collapsed forward, finally free. Rill screamed and ran to her, hugging her tightly. "Mommy!" Alex tried to stand, but his injured leg gave out. He crawled toward them instead, his lungs burning from the heat. The leader of the Guardians slammed his staff into the ground. The others steadied themselves, glaring at Alex. Their armor lights flickered, dimmer now, their power drained by the overload. The leader's voice shook with rage. "You have broken the sacred law. The suns will judge you instead." He raised his spear toward the sky. The ground trembled. The light grew brighter, so bright it hurt to see. The sun's energy gathered around the stone, swirling in golden spirals. Alex shielded his eyes. "Rill, get down!" But something strange happened. Instead of striking Alex, the light bent, drawn toward Lura. Her skin began to glow brighter, her eyes flickering open. The light surrounded her body like a halo. The rope's leftover energy poured into her hands. The Guardian stepped back in fear. "Impossible," one whispered. "She draws power from the suns." Lura stood slowly, her blue skin now shining like crystal. The light in her eyes was fierce, calm, and ancient. Her voice was soft but strong. "The light does not belong to those who use it for pain." The ground stopped shaking. The bright energy faded into stillness. The leader of the Guardians lowered his spear. "What are you?" he whispered. She looked at him, then at Alex. "Alive," she said simply. The wind began to cool as the suns started their slow descent. Shadows returned to the desert. Alex, exhausted and covered in dust, gave a weak laugh. "Guess that worked." Lura turned to him, kneeling beside his wounded leg. She placed her glowing hand over the burn, and a soft blue light spread through his skin. The pain faded. "You risked your life for one not of your kind," she said quietly. "Why?" Alex managed a tired smile. "Because your son asked me to." Rill hugged his mother tightly. The Guardians stood silent, watching, their ancient beliefs shaking like the desert heat. And as the suns dipped lower, Captain Alex Carter realized this world's trial had only just begun. The desert was quiet again, but it was the wrong kind of quiet, the kind that comes before something terrible. The wind had stopped. The air stood still, hot and heavy like molten glass. The twin suns hung over the sky, turning everything gold and red. Captain Alex Carter stood with his legs still aching, though the pain had faded thanks to Lura's strange healing touch. The alien woman was free now, her blue skin glowing softly, her eyes deep and full of sorrow. Beside her, Rill clung to her arm, refusing to let go. But they were not safe. Around them, the Solar Guardians had formed a wide circle. Their armor still burned faintly from the energy blast, but their pride burned hotter. Their leader, tall, scarred, and furious, lifted his glowing spear and slammed its end into the sand. The ground shook. "No one escapes the light's judgment," he said. "Not even a reborn sinner." Lura's voice was calm. "The light does not belong to you." Her words hit the air like thunder. The Guardians shifted, uneasy. For a moment, Alex thought they might back down. But then the leader pointed his weapon straight at Lura. "She speaks blasphemy," he roared. "All who ate her Kara die." Alex's muscles tensed. "Here we go again," he muttered. The first Guardian lunged forward. Alex barely had time to react. He raised his stolen spear, blocking the attack with a burst of sparks. The heat of the weapon hummed through his arms. He spun and struck back, slamming the butt of the spear into the alien's chest. The Guardian fell backward, the armor flickering. Another came from behind. Alex ducked and rolled, sand flying everywhere. He swung the spear low, knocking his attacker off balance. He was fast, but there were too many of them. Then the ground pulsed with blue light. Lura raised her hands, and a ring of glowing symbols appeared around her feet. The energy from the suns flowed into her, wrapping her body in a shimmering aura. "Enough," she shouted. The air cracked. A shockwave burst from her hands, throwing 3 guardians off their feet. Their spears clattered across the rocks. Rill covered his ears, the sound too loud, and Alex shielded him with his body. The wave of energy rolled across the valley, shaking the black stone and scattering sand like a storm. When the dust settled, the guardians stood again, weaker, but still determined. The leader's armor glowed brighter as he drew power from a crystal hanging around his neck. He pointed at Lura. "You dare use the light's gift against us?" She stared back with calm defiance. "The light belongs to every life that breathes under the suns. You twisted it into pain." Alex looked between them. The leader's crystal, that was it. That must be the power source for their weapons and armor. If he could destroy it, maybe the fight would end. He turned to Rill. "Stay with your mom," he whispered, then began to move slowly through the smoke. The leader's voice boomed. "If you will not accept your punishment, then your ashes will feed the sand." He thrust his spear forward and a beam of pure sunlight shot toward Lura. She raised her hands, creating a glowing shield. The beam hit it, sending ripples through the air. The shield cracked, the light breaking into shards. Alex didn't hesitate. He sprinted through the dust, ignoring the heat burning his lungs. The leader was focused on Lura. He didn't see Alex coming from the side. Alex leapt, driving his stolen spear forward. It struck the golden crystal at the leader's chest. A blinding flash erupted. The leader screamed as blue lightning danced across his armor. The other guardians staggered, their weapons flickering out. The crystal shattered, and the energy exploded outward like a solar flare. Alex was thrown across the sand, hitting the ground hard. His ears rang. The sky seemed to spin. When he looked up, the leader was on his knees, his armor smoking. The glow in his eyes dimmed. "You, human fool," the leader rasped. "You have doomed us all." Before Alex could speak, the ground began to shake violently. The black stone cracked open, glowing from within. The energy that had once bound Lura was now leaking into the air, wild and unstable. Lura turned, her face pale. "The light anchors are breaking. If they collapse, the suns will consume this valley." Rill cried out, holding her tighter. "Mommy, what do we do?" Alex pushed himself up, breathing hard. "We have to leave, now." Lura shook her head. "If we leave, the storm will spread. It will burn everything for miles. Then how do we stop it?" Alex demanded. She looked at the broken crystal on the ground. The light must be restored. Someone must return it to balance. The leader coughed weakly. "Only a guardian can bear the light," Lura stared at him. "Then I will bear it." The leader looked up in disbelief. "You will die." "I already did once," she said softly. Before Alex could protest, she knelt and pressed her hands over the shattered crystal. The light poured into her palms, then into her chest. Her body trembled as the power surged through her. Rill screamed, "No, Mommy!" The valley filled with golden fire. The energy storm calmed, swirling around her like a halo. The cracks in the stone sealed. The light dimmed, fading to a gentle glow. When it was over, Lura stood motionless. The golden mark of the guardians now glowed faintly over her heart. The leader dropped his spear and bowed his head. "The light accepts you." Alex limped forward, his throat tight. "Lura, are you okay?" She turned to him with a faint smile. "Yes, Alex, the balance is restored." Then she looked down at her son. "And we are free." Rill ran into her arms, crying with joy. The surviving guardians stepped back silently, lowering their weapons. The suns had begun to set, painting the desert in deep red light. The air cooled, and for the first time there was peace. Alex exhaled slowly. The standoff was over, but deep inside, he knew something far bigger had just begun. The twin suns dipped lower over the horizon, their golden fire softening into red. The wind began to move again, carrying the scent of warm dust and something new, the smell of peace. The valley that had once burned with light and rage now lay quiet. Captain Alex Carter stood among the ruins of the trial ground, his chest heaving. His suit was scorched, his arm bruised, but he was still alive. Around him, the solar guardians were silent. Their armor, once glowing bright, now dimmed to dull bronze. Their leader knelt beside the cracked stone, his head bowed. At the center stood Lura, the alien woman who had been tied to that very rock just hours ago. Her blue skin now shimmered faintly with threads of gold running beneath the surface, and the mark of the guardians burned like fire over her heart. She looked strong, but her eyes told another story. They were tired, ancient, and sad. Her son, Rill, clung to her arm, his small face buried against her side. "Mommy," he whispered, "please don't leave again." Laura knelt and held him close. "I won't, my star," she said softly. But even as she spoke, Alex saw her hands tremble. The golden light that had saved them all was still flowing through her, too strong for one being to contain. He took a step forward. "What's happening to you?" She smiled faintly, a sad, knowing smile. "The light doesn't belong inside me. It was never meant for mortal hands. It burns slowly," Alex frowned. "Then we'll find a way to get it out." "There has to be," she shook her head. "No, the light is bound to the anchors. If it's removed too soon, it will destroy this whole valley. Maybe the planet." Real looked up, frightened. "No, you said we're free now." Laura brushed his hair back gently. "We are, my love. But freedom has a cost." Alex's fists clenched. He hated that word, cost. He'd heard it too many times before in wars that took everything and gave nothing back. He turned to the leader of the Guardians. "You said only a Guardian can hold the light, then take it back." The leader lifted his eyes slowly. His face was pale beneath his cracked helmet. "We cannot," he said hoarsely. "Our connection to the light was broken when the crystal shattered. The balance can only be kept through her now. Then find another way," Alex snapped. "You can't just stand there while she dies." The leader's gaze hardened. "Every choice carries weight, human." She took the light willingly. She chose this path. Alex wanted to punch him, to shout, to break something. But deep down he knew the alien was right. Laura had chosen. She had saved them all. Still, it wasn't fair. Not after everything. He looked back at her. "There has to be something I can do." She turned to him, her eyes warm. "You already did it," she said softly. "You reminded them what mercy means. You showed me that courage doesn't need faith, only heart." He shook his head. "I didn't come here to lose someone again." Laura's expression softened. "Sometimes saving someone means letting them go." For a long moment, none of them spoke. The suns had almost set now, and the light painted everything in gold and blood. The air shimmered with the last of the day's heat. Then slowly, Real stepped away from his mother and walked toward Alex. His small hands were shaking. "You saved her," he said quietly. "Please, save her again." Alex looked down at him, his throat tight. The boy's eyes, silver and full of tears, reminded him of his own daughter's eyes back on Earth. He knelt. "I'll try." He turned back to Laura. "If the light is burning you, maybe I can draw some of it out. Take part of it myself." She stared at him, stunned. "No, your body can't handle it. It will kill you." Alex smiled weakly. "You sound like my doctor." "Alex," she said firmly, "you don't understand what you're offering. The light isn't just energy, it's life. It will tear through your mind." He met her eyes. "Then I'll hold it as long as I can." "Long enough for you to live?" The Guardians murmured among themselves, startled by his words. The leader shook his head. "A human cannot bear the light." "Watch me," Alex said. He stepped closer, placing his hands over Laura's. The glow beneath her skin flared brighter, reacting to his touch. Her breath caught. "Alex, stop. Do it," he whispered. "Let me help." The air trembled. A golden stream of light began to flow from her chest into his palms. His body jolted as if struck by lightning. Pain shot through every nerve. His veins glowed with fire. He screamed but didn't let go. The sand around them lifted into the air, swirling in a ring of light. Rill cried out, reaching for him, but the brightness was too blinding. Alex's vision blurred. The pain was endless, like his soul was being pulled apart. But then he heard Laura's voice, soft and desperate. "Enough, stop. You'll die." He managed a weak smile through the pain. "Worth it. If you live." The light exploded around them. When it faded, Alex fell to his knees. His body was smoking, but his eyes still glowed faintly gold. The valley was quiet again. Laura stared at him, trembling. "You fool," she whispered. "You've taken the burden." He laughed weakly. "Guess we're even." She helped him up, her hands shaking. Rill hugged them both, sobbing. The leader of the Guardians bowed deeply. "The light has chosen balance. The debt is paid, the sun's finally set." Shadows stretched long over the sand. Alex looked up at the darkening sky, the stars beginning to appear. Somewhere out there, Earth waited. And maybe, just maybe, his daughter was looking at those same stars. He smiled faintly. "Looks like we both got a second chance." Laura nodded, her eyes full of quiet gratitude. "Yes, Alex Carter. The choice has been made." And as night fell across the alien desert, two worlds, human and alien, found peace in the same fading light. The desert night had never been so still. The twin suns had sunk beneath the horizon, leaving a sky filled with unfamiliar stars, pale blue, shimmering like ice. The wind was soft now, cool against the scorched ground where fire and fury had once danced. Captain Alex Carter sat slumped beside the black stone, breathing heavily. His hands still glowed faintly gold, the veins in his arms flickering with light like molten threads beneath his skin. Every breath felt like fire, but he was alive. Barely. Laura knelt beside him, her face pale and eyes wide with worry. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "The light inside you, it doesn't belong there." Alex gave a weak grin. "You said that already," he muttered, his voice rough. "Guess I'm bad at following instructions." Beside them, Rill held his mother's arm tightly, glancing between the two with fear. "Is he going to die?" Laura placed a gentle hand on her son's shoulder. "No," she said softly, though her voice trembled. "He's stronger than he looks." The wind carried the faint hum of the energy still lingering in the air. The Guardians stood at a distance, silent. Their weapons were lowered, their armor dim. The once proud warriors now watched in awe and confusion, as if the world they knew had just cracked open. The leader stepped forward slowly. His golden-edged armor was cracked and scorched, his voice hoarse. "The humans should be dead," he said quietly. "The light consumes all who are unworthy." Laura rose to her feet, facing him. Her body glowed faintly blue again. The golden markings had faded now that the light had passed into Alex. "Maybe your laws were wrong," she said. "Maybe worthiness isn't about blood or birth. Maybe it's about heart." The leader lowered his head. "Then this world has much to relearn." Alex chuckled softly, leaning against the stone. "Good. Start with not burning mothers alive." A ripple of amusement moved through the silent group of Guardians. The first sound of peace in this valley for years. But before anyone could speak again, the ground trembled. The black stone began to glow once more, cracks of golden light spreading across its surface. Laura gasped. "The anchors. They're waking again." The Guardians drew back in alarm. "Impossible. The light is gone," one shouted. Alex forced himself to his feet, using the spear as a crutch. His body ached, but his instincts screamed. "It's not gone," he said through gritted teeth. "It's in me." The stone pulsed harder, glowing brighter. The same energy that once tied Laura now pulled at Alex's chest, tugging like invisible chains. His veins flared with light again, brighter, hotter. Rill screamed. "Stop it, you'll hurt him." Laura reached for Alex, but he stumbled back, clutching his chest. "It's pulling me," he gasped. "It's trying to go home." The leader of the Guardians stepped forward. "If the light returns uncontrolled, the anchors will collapse. The planet will burn." Laura's voice shook. "There must be a way to contain it." Alex fell to one knee, the sand turning molten beneath his hand. "If it wants to go back," he said between breaths, "maybe I can take it there." Laura's eyes widened. "You can't. The heart of the anchors is buried beneath the desert. It's pure energy. Nothing can survive inside it." Alex smiled weakly. "Guess I'm not nothing." Before she could stop him, the light burst out from his chest, swirling into a halo around his body. He rose slightly off the ground, the energy holding him like invisible wings. His eyes glowed bright gold, and for a moment he didn't look human at all. He looked divine. Rill cried out, "Alex, don't go!" Alex turned his glowing eyes toward the boy, and his voice came out calm, almost peaceful. "Take care of her for me, kiddo. You're stronger than you know." Then he looked at Laura. "Tell her, my daughter, that I kept my promise." And with that, the light erupted. It wasn't an explosion, it was a sunrise. The valley filled with pure gold, washing over everything like liquid dawn. The sand melted into glass, the rocks turned transparent, and the black stone crumbled to dust. The Guardians fell to their knees, shielding their faces. Laura stood frozen, tears glowing in her eyes as the light surrounded Alex completely. He floated higher, the energy pouring from his body in waves. His form began to fade, his outline breaking into thousands of shining fragments. Then, silence. The light vanished. The heat was gone. The air cooled. When Laura opened her eyes, she was standing in the middle of a calm desert, the sky filled with stars. The black stone was gone. The ground beneath her feet shimmered like gold glass. Rill tugged on her hand. Mommy, where did he go? She looked up. High above, among the stars, a faint golden shimmer drifted across the sky. Slow, gentle, beautiful. He's there, she whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. He became the light. The leader of the Guardians approached, bowing deeply. He has done what no guardian or god ever could. The light chose him. Laura turned to him, her voice strong but quiet. Then honor him. Remember what he stood for. The leader nodded solemnly. From this day our code changes. The trial of light is no more. Mercy will be our law. Rill looked up at his mother, still watching the sky. Will we ever see him again? Laura smiled sadly. When the suns rise tomorrow, look at the first light that touches the sand. That's him, the human who gave us back the dawn. As the night deepened, the desert shimmered softly, golden dust floating in the wind. The Guardians began to leave, their footsteps quiet and reverent. Laura lifted Rill into her arms, turning one last time to the horizon. For the first time, the twin sons of Row 9 began to rise without anger, calm, gentle, and bright. And as their golden rays touched the new glass desert, it looked as if the world itself was bowing to a fallen hero, Alex Carter, the human who became the light. Dawn came softly over Row 9. The first golden rays touched the glass desert, scattering light like diamonds across the horizon. The valley that had once burned with punishment now shimmered in quiet peace. The air was cool, gentle, and for the first time in centuries the planet felt alive. Laura stood at the edge of the valley, her long white cloak moving in the morning wind. The suns rose behind her, their twin glow painting her blue skin with warm light. In her arms she held Rill, now fast asleep after a night of tears and silence. She gazed upward. The stars faded, but one light remained, faint, golden, and moving slowly across the sky. It wasn't a star at all. It was him, Captain Alex Carter, the human who had turned into light to save them. She whispered softly.
He kept his promise. Behind her, the Solar Guardians stood in a silent line.
Their once shining armor now marked with sand and humility. Their leader stepped forward, bowing deeply. The dawn feels different, he said quietly. The light no longer burns. It warms. Laura turned to him. Because it remembers him. The leader nodded, his expression solemn. The old ways are gone. The trials, the punishments, all of it ends today. We will teach what he showed us. He paused, looking at the glowing desert floor. That mercy can be stronger than judgment. Laura smiled faintly. Then he didn't die in vain. The Guardians saluted in silence, pressing their spears into the ground as a mark of respect. The leader reached into his armor and removed a small broken shard of the golden crystal, the same one that had once bound the light. He placed it on the sand before Laura. Let this remain here, he said, a reminder of the human who changed our sun. Laura knelt and placed her hand over the shard. The air around it shimmered and faint golden flowers began to bloom from the glass beneath her touch. Tiny, delicate, glowing softly in the morning light. Rill stirred and opened his eyes, blinking at the flowers. Mommy, he whispered, is this where he sleeps now? She nodded, tears shining in her eyes. Yes, my love. This is his resting place and his gift to us. The boy reached out and touched one of the glowing petals. It's warm, he said softly. Like his hands, Laura smiled through her tears. Yes, the light lives on through kindness. The Guardians slowly departed, disappearing into the distance. Their shadows stretched long across the desert until they were gone. Only the whispering wind and the faint hum of the light remained. Laura looked at the horizon one last time. He saved us all, she murmured. As she turned to leave, Rill tugged at her hand. Mommy, do you think he can see us? She looked back at the sky. The golden shimmer had grown faint, almost hidden by the sunlight. But somehow she felt him there, watching, smiling like the morning itself. Yes, she said softly. He sees everything now. Months passed, the Valley of Glass became sacred ground. Pilgrims from across the stars came to see it, the place where a human had stood against the suns. The alien records called him the Flame Bearer, the one who carried the light of mercy. Stories spread through the galaxies, of a soldier from a small blue world who had faced gods and laws and chose compassion over fear. Children on distant planets learned his name in their bedtime tales. To them, he wasn't just a man. He was a legend. But for Lura and Rill, he was something far simpler. He was the friend who never turned away. Every dawn they returned to the valley. Lura would stand in silence while Rill played among the glowing flowers, his laughter echoing in the glass hills. When the first sunlight touched the ground, the flowers would bloom brighter, as if answering a call. One morning, as Rill chased the light, he stopped suddenly.
Mommy, look!
He cried, pointing upward. In the sky just above the twin suns, a faint streak of gold cut across the heavens, a soft, shining line moving slowly, like a comet made of fire. Lura placed a hand over her heart. She didn't need to speak. She knew what it was. The light had returned to watch over them. That night, Lura recorded a message for the human colonies, her voice calm and steady. To the people of Earth, one of your kind gave his life for ours. He taught us that mercy is strength, that courage is not born from power but from compassion. His name was Alex Carter. Remember him not as a soldier, but as a light that walked among the stars. The message spread across systems, played in schools, shrines, and command ships. And somewhere on a quiet corner of Earth, a young girl looked up at the same golden streak in the sky and whispered, "That's my dad." Back on row 9, the suns rose once more, the valley glowed, the flowers bloomed, and the glass sand shimmered like the edge of heaven. Lura stood beside her son, the warm light on her face. "Come, Rill," she said softly. "It's time to go home." The boy looked back at the glowing desert. "Goodbye, Alex." The wind carried his words away, up into the morning air where the light waited. And as they walked toward the horizon, a soft voice, not in sound but in feeling, seemed to whisper through the sunlit wind. "You're welcome, kid." The suns climbed higher. The glass desert sparkled brighter. And above it all, the golden shimmer drifted on. A reminder that even in the coldest corners of the universe, one act of kindness can change the fate of